The number that surprised me was the independents here. 49% of U.S. likely voters support impeaching Donald Trump, 37% strongly. That's pretty similar to his strong disapproval rating. So they are literally just voting on the feels here. They just want to impeach him because Orange Man bad.
According to Rasmussen reports, 73% of Democratic voters want to impeach President Trump again because that is the best use of our federal resources. Joining me to discuss is Mr. Mark Mitchell himself. He's a head pollster over at Rasmussen Reports. And it's always good to catch up with him because, Mark, you give it to us straight. You're not one of those pollsters that likes to lie or inflate their numbers or, make us feel all warm and fuzzy on the inside. You like to give us the numbers straight, so we're excited to have you on today. I wanted to touch upon the very first one that you guys just recently released, and that's the fact that a lot of Democrats do want their representatives going after President Trump if they do get the majority back. They want him impeached. I don't know. That doesn't feel like how democracy works, but that's what they're going for right now. And that's the reason why Republicans are saying everyone needs to get out and vote for midterms or else they might impeach him. But it's not really a motivator for Republican voters to go out there and to extend the majority for Republicans in both the House and the Senate. So what do you make of this?
Yeah, and also I want to apologize in advance if anybody gets whiplash. Everybody thinks that we're a MAGA pollster or we're hard right. It's like, no, we're just representing the voter. And objectively, Trump had a really good platform, and there's a lot to like about the things he did. But if he's messing up, if he's jeopardizing the future of the country for Americans, I'm going to speak out about it. And a lot of people who think that I'm supposed to be a cheerleader get mad about that. So maybe I'll hurt some feelings. Maybe I'll hurt your dad's feelings. I don't know. But I'll tell you, like, this is what it's about. They're trying to find momentum. And I think we can acknowledge that part of the reason about that is that Trump didn't really run on very concrete things. Like, obviously there was the border, but he ran on like retribution and a golden age and hope and all of these things that are nebulous. And so when you can't point back to and say, look, I gave you a golden age, it's hard to keep winning elections because it does involve maintaining this momentum. And I think we can all agree over the last couple of months that there's been some problems because he takes one step forward and then two steps back in very, very, very clear, specific ways, like rolling back the promise to deport everybody. That was a really huge thing. That could be like George H.W. Bush levels of read my lips, no new taxes. Now, the impeachment thing, I personally don't think it's going to have any impact whatsoever. And I think people fundamentally know that because the conviction, when they convicted him, that actually made his numbers go up. He's already been impeached 2 times. And then the numbers here for supporting or opposing impeaching President Trump aren't actually even all that surprising. They're surprising in that we don't know what the predicate is, right? Like, that's the surprise. With Joe Biden, it was like, yes, we have the laptop from hell. He's profiting from China. Like, we know why that was happening. But here they'll find a reason. And 49% of U.S. likely voters support impeaching Donald Trump, 37% strongly. That's pretty similar to his strong disapproval rating. So they are literally just voting on the feels here. They just want to impeach him because Orange Man bad. And only 45% oppose. And that's actually very similar to the number of people back in the beginning of 2022 who wanted to impeach Joe Biden. So it's basically, red team, blue team, I guess. The biggest surprise to me here wasn't the Democrat number, 73%, 58% strongly support. That, it's about right. That's the kind of number you'd expect to see because that's the percentage of Democrats who are insane leftists, about 60%. The number that surprised me was the independents here. Donald Trump basically won independents just a year ago in November 2024. And this group of people might be changing some. A lot of disaffected Republicans now because they're upset about Epstein or whatever. But they are 49 to 41 supporting impeaching Trump. That's kind of dangerous. Republicans need to win with independents in order to maintain control of Congress. And so I think it's probably going to happen. I'm looking at a Democrat +6 generic ballot. And even if Trump's approval numbers are okay right now, the writing's kind of on the wall for the fall unless they could turn this big ship around. And I don't think we're seeing it. Probably going to see the impeachments, and it's probably not going to be a problem.
Yeah, well, Mark, I mean, here's the thing, right? There's a lot that I think we could get those on the left to kind of agree with us on, and I think it should be a top priority. And I know we wanted to walk through the affordability crisis first, but I kind of wanted to talk about how a lot of Americans are true believers in voter ID and the requirements for voter ID. I mean, you guys just put out another poll, which matches one that you did last year as well, where 74% of likely U.S. voters believe that requiring photo ID to vote is a reasonable measure to protect the integrity of our elections. I mean, again, that's like the same that you guys did back in July. So I think that's really telling. But I mean, this would be an easy win, Mark. Why can't the Trump administration go out there and put this into legislation?
Well, right, exactly. I think what we're seeing here with this poll is that, as I've said many times, the era of performative politics is over. People can see through the two-party system and they're sick of it and they want the whole system burned down, because we're not talking about like November of 2026 and Republicans are running on, healthcare reform, or they're running on a new immigration legislation. It's like, no, there are very simple, specific things that we would like you to deliver. It's like, yeah, fire all the people who are bad in the federal agencies. That's like pretty easy. Just fire those people, right? Like let's crack down on companies that are abusing illegal labor. Let's just pass voter ID. Like, how hard is this? Why are we still talking about it? Let's just get rid of Ilhan Omar. Like, these people are criminals. Like, why can't?
Yeah.
And so, especially a lot of the younger people are like, what are we even doing here? If the Republican Party can't get these simple wins, like voter ID, that are obviously very popular. And that's, in my opinion, this is the most important point. Donald Trump's approval rating is -7 right now, net approval. That's not very terrible. Like, that it is really not that bad. It's like 47 to 54 or something like that. Joe Biden was underwater in double digits for most of his term. But like, every single thing that is just obvious is so much more overwhelming than Trump. Like, rating businesses that employ illegals is +26. Donald Trump -7. Rating businesses that employ illegals +26. Like voter ID, what is this? 74 to 14. It's 58, +58. It's the most obvious thing in the world. And so we're not in the situation where it's like, okay, we still have a divided country. There still is like red team, blue team people, but it's increasingly becoming, it's going to be about getting your side to turn out, especially for the Republicans. And if the Republicans can't take something like this that America obviously needs, because we had all that polling on the 2020 election, people think that it was stolen. They really do. And this would help it. It's the lowest hanging political fruit ever. And if you can't get the Senate votes, why don't you at least bring the bill to the floor and make Democrats vote against a very simple thing that is +58? It's the most obvious thing in the world. And they're not going to do it. Like, I don't think they're going to do it. There was the Make Elections Secure Again Act that I think was really good. I know it's been kicking around since March. Now, all of a sudden, we got some, like, in my opinion, some rhino-backed Make Elections Great Again Act, which is stripping some of the actual like teeth out of other legislation. So again, we're looking at November. I'm not optimistic that this stuff's going to pass. And so I'm looking at a Democrat +6 generic ballot at this point and can't see a reason it's going to do much better. In fact, the Republicans might be demoralized and even underperform the polling.
Yeah, well, that's the part that's really concerning here in all of this. I mean, Mark, these are, yeah, as you just outlined, these are easy wins, and for some reason they're not trying to grab at any of them. I know the president has been very frustrated about the lack of backing election integrity that's happening right now. He's been very vocal on Truth Social, but he doesn't call out the key people. I mean, he's still playing footsie with people like Speaker Mike Johnson, who should be, laminating his agenda through these EOs that he's been signing. I mean, he's well north of 200 so far. And for some reason, they just don't feel the pressure, but they still want the American people to go out and vote for them. And I think that's unfair to sit here and say that we should have to just continue to vote for you, even though you don't do anything. It's just ridiculous. And then to blame it on us, if Democrats do get the majority, they're going to blame it on us and say, oh, it's the rest of them, the black pillars. It's the voters who sat at home and didn't go out to vote. That's the reason why you see these impeachments going on. But they haven't given us anything, any type of indicator that they are going to do what's best for the American people if given the opportunity to keep that majority. Because right now it's a very thin majority. But I know, when you and I have spoken about this in the past, but obviously 46% of likely voters do agree that President Trump is doing a good job. But the reality of it is the affordability crisis. This is something that I know when you went to the White House, you made it very, very clear that this needs to be a top priority for the administration. And President Trump has done a little thing here and there since you've made your appearance at the White House. So I will give you full credit and say this is the Mark Mitchell effect. But what do you make of what you've seen so far? Because, I mean, they're investing, obviously, in mortgages. We've seen that. But is it enough?
I really don't think so. He has done some stuff, but unfortunately, like, the new reality, again, with performative politics, is that younger voters are like a truffle pig for inauthenticity. And so if you say something good one day and then say something horrible the very next day, like they're going to see it. And guess which one they're going to like is going to go viral? It's going to be President Trump talking about, it's like, okay, we were going to deport 20 million and now we're just going to deport the people who are criminals. That's only like 1 million or less, right? And so all of a sudden, these 19 million people who are affecting the labor force, driving up prices, driving up taxpayer burden for these illegals, we're not going to go after those all of a sudden? Like that's pretty big implications for affordability. And then the other big one he just did in the last week, and we talked about this specifically at the White House, was the housing market. It's a really big problem. Is it Zoomer and millennial number one concern? Like, no, but they think the housing prices are a crisis. They know there are bigger problems like the criminal accountability and the waste, fraud, and abuse. But then Trump shot himself in the foot with a 50-year mortgage. And then he just said, like, overwhelmingly, loudly, repeatedly, is that we don't want to affect the housing prices. We don't want to lower them. And so when you focus on egg prices, when people can't afford rent, that's a problem. And you say we're not going to affect that, even though he ran on lowering housing prices. And unfortunately, like I guess housing prices would jeopardize some people's fake paper wealth. And he weighed in on the generational battle there in a way where it's like the young people will know this. Most of the young people will know this. And his approval rating with young people is like 41%, I think, today, last week. And so, yeah, okay, look, we can't buy a house. And Trump's talking about gas prices and egg prices, but he wants to keep the boomer fake home equity wealth. That is very clearly a market dislocation. House price to income ratios are like 5, 6, 7x right now, and historical average is like 3 or 4. And so it is a bubble, and we're all just going to pretend that it's not a bubble. Huge elephant in the room. And again, it's like you need these people to turn out. They want waste, fraud, and abuse. You got rid of Doge. They want arrests. Nobody's been arrested. In fact, the one person that got arrested got unarrested, right? They wanted government reform and a restoration of trust in the federal institutions. Nobody's been frog marched out of the FBI. We haven't seen anything about like, the CIA has not been, fragmented into 1,000 pieces and scattered to the wind. Let's just put it that way, right? Patrick Burns out there, like accusing Ratcliffe of being like corrupted with compromise. So none of these core major things, because of this existential election, Trump won, Trump turn one. It was like, hey, let's roll the dice. Let's see what this guy can do because we know the system's not working. Now it's like, well, I think there's a feeling of existential, like the time is running out. This is musical chairs. The music has stopped. Everybody's scrambling for the chairs. That's what the economy feels like to me. And we're talking about egg prices and keeping housing up. It's just not enough. People will see right through it.